are relatively new to him, but we're starting to see those referrals come in, and now we have some. As I'm getting up to speed and a little bit more comfortable with everything, now we've got some processes in place to make sure that communication is there and follow up, and really trying to build that trust factor, if you will, with not only the borrowers but the referral sources.
Sure. Are you talking to every one of those referral sources, or not the sources, but the referrals as the referral comes in? Is Dave putting you in touch with? Is that your responsibility to talk with all those borrowers?
I don't know that I speak to necessarily every one of them, but at some point in the process, I probably will.
Okay. Have you been having those? Have you been having any type of a expectation conversation with those clients that you're talking to?
From a referral standpoint?
Specifically the Triangle of Trust. Have we talked about that in detail?
Yeah. I guess I would put it this way, in not so many words, yes.
Okay.
As far as as far as setting the expectations and things of that nature, yes.
Awesome. So I have there's a loan officer that I work with who basically decided to take December off, and they shut their business down so they could be with family and whatnot. For the last 60 days, they haven't closed a loan and are under a tremendous amount of stress because of the amount of energy that it takes to rebuild that momentum. When you decide to just kind of quit cold turkey, it takes a lot to get back into the mix and try to push that momentum forward again. And that's the beautiful part about the conversation. When you get so comfortable with it, you can turn it on and off based on who you're talking to and when you're talking to them. And I guess that's the message that I want to keep driving home to you specifically, because as you have an ample amount of opportunities, because you're involved with the loans, correct? I mean, you're not simply trying to generate your own business. You're also assisting Dave in his ability to close the loans that come in. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct.
So you have what I've always thought was a tremendous blessing, in the sense that I work with a lot of LOs that don't have the luxury of working underneath somebody's umbrella and working with loans that somebody else has procured. I think that being in your shoes positions you to be probably the most comfortable in saying what it is that I'm trying to deliver home to you guys, which is every time you talk to a client, creating that expectation, whether it's perfect or imperfect, but as long as the message is being said and then it's followed through with a constant reminder of please don't keep me a secret, that message creates a very compelling understanding of what your business is really built around. And I'll give you this as an example. So my wife, and I don't think I've shared this with you guys. So Denise, my wife, has been up in Michigan for, it'll be 2 years in July. And she'd been in the mortgage industry and worked for Success Mortgage Partners for a couple of years before she moved to Michigan. And when she moved up here, I still get referrals from my database and I refer them over to her. And the fun part was that I get to watch what happens when certain pieces of the business are applied and certain pieces of the business aren't applied. So I did a little experiment, unbeknownst to her, but she gets the message now. So what ends up happening is, I get a referral from a very good client of mine named Constantine. He refers me a guy by the name of Sebastian. Sebastian comes and I sit down with him and my wife and we start going over the mortgage process because I'm not licensed anymore. So I tell Denise, I said, let me just explain something to you real quick. I'm going to go in, I'm going to do my 15-minute presentation like I always used to. I'm going to set the stage and then I'm going to leave. She goes, okay. So I go in there and I do my 15-minute song and dance and I leave. An hour later, she comes back and she goes, wow, that was uncomfortable. I said, really, why? And she goes, because that was really over the top. Like, you laid it on really, really thick. The mindset of the Triangle of Trust and all that. You with me so far, Brendan?
Yes, sir.
So I said, okay, that's fair. But here's what I need you to do for me. For the rest of the process, for the next 45 days, I need you to do what you always do, except when Sebastian or his wife say thank you to you for doing something, I just need you to respond with, thanks for noticing. Please remember, we're counting on you to refer us. She says, okay, flat, fast forward 45 days. She goes to closing and she comes back and she goes, I have a $450,000 referral. I said, wow, that's awesome. So we high five each other. I'm like, that's the best news of the day. I said, so let me ask you a question. I said, how do you think you did being the tactician, being the loan partner, or being the loan officer on the deal? She goes, I think I did a really good job. I said, did you remind him to not keep you a secret? She goes, ugh. She goes, I probably did it maybe 2, maybe 3 times in the 45 days. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I go, why do you think you got a referral? And she pauses and I go, well, let me ask you this. Had I not set the stage up front and you did a mediocre job of being a loan officer, so subpar, do you think you would have gotten a referral? She goes, absolutely not. I go, had I set the expectation and you still did a mediocre job, would we have gotten a referral? She goes, probably not. Okay. You with me so far?
Yep.
I said, so if I set the expectation and you did an awesome job, which is what you did, do you think you deserve a referral? She goes, absolutely. I said, okay, so that's where we're at. I said, so what happens if I didn't set the expectation and you did an awesome job? Would you have gotten a referral? She goes, I don't know. I go, well, let me ask you this question. Of the last 10 closings that you did, how many current client referrals did you receive? She goes, none. I said, but you're probably still very good at your job, right? She goes, yeah. I go, it's probably pretty consistent. She goes, yeah. And I go, has the point been made? She goes, oh, wow. And here's the message that I wanted her to see. You can be an amazingly talented tactician of what you do every day. The problem is that we leave on the table so many opportunities for people to endorse us and to refer us and to put us in touch with other people who could use our service that it's actually rather disappointing. Because today, had she had made all those conversations happen with every referral that I would have given her or that came across her desk from me, she had an easy chance to rebuild her momentum. Case in point, we have another client who is a past client of mine, three transactions removed. This client has used me 3 times. They're coming back for their 4th time, and I said, I need you to set the stage yourself. She set the stage. She's done an amazing job, and guess what happened Friday? She got a referral.
Great.
And it boggles my mind when we think about how hard it is to build our business and to generate momentum, but yet these opportunities that are constantly put in front of us, we simply just let them dissipate. And let me explain what I mean by opportunities. Every time you get a chance to interact with somebody on the phone or face-to-face and talk about what you do is an opportunity. Because at that point, whenever you're engaged in a conversation, I don't care if it's via email, belly to belly, or on the telephone, every time that you have a chance to interact with a client, you have a chance, well, let me say, you have to make a conscious choice on whether you're going to expand your brand or not. And Brendan, your brand is no different than Dave's. And I don't believe Dave would want anything less than for you to get a referral from any one of the clients that you guys are currently working with, because that helps out you and it helps out him, correct?
Correct.
So when we ask ourselves what we come into work to do every day, we really are in the business of amplifying relationships. We really are in the business of letting people know that we need their help. And the only difference between us and the shop down the street is that you're being trained on when to ask, why to ask, and how to ask. And doing it more effectively is just it's the difference between going to Taco Bell for Mexican or going to a really nice, we have these Los Tres Amigos up here, which is amazing Mexican food. It's Mexican food, but it's not the same. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You guys have Ruoff Mortgage. You guys have other companies in your area that are mortgage companies, but they're just not the same.
Correct.
And so it has to be almost a conscious choice for you, because I think about where I was back in 1995, 96, and 97, and thinking about all the knowledge that I didn't have. The internet wasn't really around that much, and just getting used to how things were operating, it was really a trial by fire. And so I love the chances that you're being put in front of and the exposure that you're getting, and it just gives you the perfect stage to really just spread your wings and just really go out there and do it without fear.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that statement, that it's a unique opportunity for me, it's to relearn the business. I haven't been in the business since 2006. You know, obviously some things stay the same, but more things changed. And you know, as I get my feet wet again and, you know, learn the systems and the technology that kind of goes along with it,
Right.
you know, it's an opportunity to embrace the systems that Dave has in place, and the coaching that I'm getting both from you and him and from others, and just embracing that system and just doing it.
Fantastic. So talk to me a little bit about what your day typically looks like. When you come into work, you have roles and responsibilities. If you were to look at having an assistant for yourself, what would you say would give you the most satisfaction every single day if you could do this and only this? Like, what would that role look like?
Hey, Doug.
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt, but I didn't know if you were. I think you were oblivious to the fact that we were on the line, so I just want to let you know.
I had no idea. Thanks for speaking up. I appreciate it.
I didn't interrupt though.
No problem. So you've heard everything I've said.
Yes.
Okay.
And Doug, I'm just going to let you know here that Dave is on a call with Eugene, and he's going to be a little bit late calling in.
It's no big deal. No big deal. So if you had one job that you could do every single day, Brendan, what would that be? What ideally would you like to do and nothing else?
My personal strength is face-to-face, talking with people, reading body language, being able to get points across. So whether that's a referral source or whether that's a borrower or whatever it is, that would be, in a perfect world, that's all I would do.
Okay, in a perfect world. So today, that's not your world, is it?
No, not yet.
Okay. So what would you say is the definition of a successful week for you in the environment that you're in today, and you will be in for a little bit? How would you define a successful week?
As far as, you know, where I'm at now and what my role is, a big part of the success is going to be Dave's success, which is, you know, working the file as he, you know, asks me to, whether that's, you know, taking the application for him or, you know, doing the follow-ups or whatever, but making the transaction as smooth as possible for everybody that's involved, to continue to ask for referrals while we go through the process, and, you know, basically trying to maximize my productivity so that he can do what he does best.
Right.
And not have to worry about the quote-unquote day-to-day stuff.
Right. So I think what you've summed up is I believe a successful week for me is getting current client referrals. If you did everything that you just said, and you talked and you acted and you requested and you helped and you did everything that you are really good at, and you got a current client referral every single week, would it be safe to say that that would be monumental for you?
Absolutely.
Okay. So here's part of the challenge that we a lot of times fall into, is that we don't have a definition, a clear definition, a very measurable definition of what it is that we define as success. My team, as I grew my business, my team's definition of a successful week was getting current client referrals. And what that meant was everything else that led up to the current client referral, it meant that they were amplifying their ability to be a consultant at some level with the client. They were doing their job and role in negotiating whatever it is that they had to with the client, the realtors and the title companies, and they did an exceptional job at managing the clients and realtors' fears and expectations. The piece of what I want you to get from this is really simple. When you come into work every day, if you're focused on amplifying Dave's relationships and amplifying the client's relationships, at some point you have to ask yourself, how do I know I'm doing a good job? How do I know that I'm succeeding and evolving and getting closer to where you want to be, which is you want to be an originator. You want to be the person that goes out there and originates the relationship, so somebody like you right now is handling the business for you. Is that fair?
That's very fair.
So the idea behind what we're after is teaching the skill set and teaching the mindset and teaching the language on how you can create situations that make it more predictable, more repeatable, and more controllable as it relates to how you grow your business. And the definition of your success being what I think it needs to be is current client referrals, or referrals in any way, shape, or form. But right now, your easiest source of business is current client referrals. That means that your day should be focused on how do I achieve getting one of those. And if that's your goal, if that's your benchmark, if that's your driving why, then everything you do that leads you to that path is almost parallel to what Dave's business plan currently is, isn't it?
Yes.
So my question to you then is, how many times a day do you think you have conversations with people and you make it abundantly clear, not in an aggressive way, not in a leaning way, but how many times a day do you hear yourself having conversations that you know when you hang up, that client adamantly believes that you are seeking help from them in the form of a referral? And it's not a question that you have to answer. It's more of an internal one that I want you to process. Because the truth behind it is that if your definition of success is everything you said and it's equatable to current client referrals, it begs the question, are you being productive or are you being busy? And I don't want the busy work, because everybody falls into that trap, and that's a horrible rat race to get into, where you leave every day from work exhausted, but not being very productive makes it even worse. There have been many loan officers that fall into the trap of going, we're super busy. Pre the lead tracker, I know Ryan and Dave both would tell you that their businesses were busy. They were active. They had stuff going on. I remember Ryan sharing with me a quick little story. He's like, man, I've got 8 loans in the hopper. It's going to be a great month. And I asked him, Ryan, what did I ask you?
How many loans do you, or either one of the two questions, either how many loans do you have in for the following month or how many leads you have in for this month?
And what was your response?
I remember being very few.
It was an eye-opener. It was the reality that we don't get paid to close loans. We get paid to originate relationships. And if the goal or the evolution of being a loan partner is to be an originator or to be an amazing loan partner and to take over the management of the office, the key to this is the mindset. The key to this is understanding that every dialogue, every conversation, every bit of communication that we have needs to be centered on one singular purpose. And that is the driving need to have the clients that currently work with you and the realtor partners that currently work with us to become advocates of our business. If that's your compass, there's really not much that you're going to do that you're going to make a bad judgment call on. Does everybody hear me on that?
Yes.
There's really no reason to micromanage somebody's decision-making process if that's the, we all make mistakes, but if you don't understand something and you make the mistake, I get it. If you constantly make the same mistake, then that's a bad judgment call, and that's where the alignment of the two people may not be a good fit. But what I'm excited about is both of you guys, actually all 4 of you guys, have that mindset. You guys all have that skill set, and the question just becomes is, how do you define what you do every day? And for me, to my team, it was current client referrals. They didn't get one every day, and it wasn't a guarantee that they would get one every day. But the goal of getting a 10 to 15% return on our investment, meaning if I had 30 leads into the month, I always anticipated anywhere from, 5 to 10 referrals coming in from the past clients and the current clients that we were actively working with. And that was such a great way to measure your success. And speaking to somebody that wants to grow into being an originator, the more comfortable and more deliberate you get with this, the quicker you rise to being independent and being capable of generating your own businesses without having to go through the trenches of having to call realtors on a day-to-day basis and having the door shut in your face because they don't see your value. So the question that I have for everybody is, how many times a day do you leave a conversation confidently knowing that the person that you just communicated with understands without any question that you're counting on them for a referral? It's powerful, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, I pulled up my lead tracker, Doug, as you were sharing this, and we're actually doing really good at getting past clients and past client referrals. So out of 27 leads this month, 10 of those are either a PCR or PC. However, we only have, which is really 10% of, or excuse me, a third of the leads coming in. But we only have one CCR for the month. So we are not doing a good job at conveying that to our current clients.
And here's the cool part. You guys are getting the referrals, but the active, constant reminder of it isn't being consistent.
Right.
And here's the part of it that I've always thought really fun. You're asking people who genuinely like you and trust you and want to help you for help. So it's not like it should be an uncomfortable situation. The other part of it is that it's free. I mean, so I was telling you guys earlier, I had this client that Denise is currently working on. Her name is Heather and Bill Berner. They were in a lineage of about, it's got to be north to maybe 15 to 17 transactions. She was originally referred to me by her brother, who was referred to me by his friend, who was referred to me by a coworker over at Deloitte & Touche. And if I map that all out and I went down to this vein, which is where Heather and Bill are, which is the smallest loan that I've done in that entire, that lineage of transactions, it's north of $250,000 in income stream for me over the past 18 years in number of loans and volume and gross revenue. There's a lot of value on Heather and Bill Berner when you look at the economics, but there's even a greater value when you understand how thankful and grateful they are for how much time and energy I've spent helping them with their credit, with their job situation, and how I've gone above and beyond and defended them against these realtors that try to take advantage of them. The list just goes on. It's a somewhat unique story, but it feels like I've been with them since the beginning almost. Denise, not knowing the language, would have killed that lineage because she does a great job as a loan officer, but she doesn't do a great job being consistent as an originator. And when I reminded her of it and she applied it, it almost turned into an instant referral last Friday. And that's the amazing part about it, is that your clients have so much value that we sometimes most often we just forget about it. We don't see the lifelong value of a referral. We don't understand that connection is kind of like it's the weak link in a chain. The first time that we don't acknowledge and press and build that relationship, we really are creating a weak link in a chain that could be valued at thousands and tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars if you're careful. And that's the piece of it where I think a lot of businesses fail, is that they stop investing their time and energy into the relationship side and they stop asking for the business. And I just don't want to see that happen because a lot of you guys, two of you guys are on the upswing to become, re-engaged in the origination side of this business if you so choose. And I think this process it's just natural. I guess that's the best way to put it. It's not a sales tactic. It's not a canned presentation. It's just a natural dialogue to ask other people who I think genuinely care for help. I don't know, is this making sense to you guys at all?
Yes, absolutely.
So I want, what I'm hoping to hear, or what I'm hoping to get, or what I would love to see, not hope, but what I would love to see happen is you guys on a daily basis making commitments to you and your team and saying, here's what my goal is to you. And I'm doing the same thing with my wife, Denise. So I told Denise that she needs to have 6 conversations with people every single day, asking them for help. I don't care if it's an active client. I don't care if it's a past client. I don't care if it's a realtor. I don't care if it's somebody she meets at the grocery store. But 6 times 5 times 4 times 12, it's a lot, isn't it?
It is.
That's 360 requests a year. That doesn't, well, no, that's not, is it right? 6 times 5 is 30 a week times 52 weeks. Times, why is my math failing me right now? 6 of them a day times 5 days is 30 requests a week times 4. It's 120 requests a month. That doesn't, you guys probably have more than 120 conversations a month, don't you? I would think. I mean, if you look at your call log on your phone, I think you probably dial up more than 120 phone calls. That's the only secret to this. 6 requests a day. 6 conversations that specifically state, hey, please don't keep me a secret. And the cool part is you don't even have to start the conversation off that way. Heck, your clients, you can call them up and help them with a problem or solve a challenge or help the process go along faster. And what are you going to get out of them? Probably a thank you, right? And everybody's response when they hear a thank you is what?
Thank you for noticing. Don't keep me a secret.
Bingo. 6 of those a day. Good God, you're hitting both ends of the spectrum. You're doing an exceptional job and you're asking for help. Those are the easiest conversations to have. And you can have 3 conversations on one transaction alone, 2 with the realtors and 1 with the client. 6 conversations a day. I don't know, Ryan, that may be motivating for you and your team. I'm not sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really, like you said, it's a simple thing. It's just being intentional about it.
And honestly, that's where I think you and Dave have to hold your teams accountable. Is do you decide, is your team busy or is your team productive? Your team can be productive based on moving the loan along, but the talent pool that you guys have right now is exceptional. I think the bare bones of doing a job is great. Closing on time is a great expectation. But from what I've heard from both of you guys, I think it would be fair to say that both of you guys would love to receive referrals and eventually build a practice inside of the business that you're currently working in that you could almost call your own. Does anybody agree or disagree with that?
I agree completely.
Agreed.
I only hear 2 of you on the call. Are we missing somebody?
Susan's here.
I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry?
Susan and I are sharing a phone. We have you on speaker, Doug. We're in the
Got it. You're not saying much today, Sue.
No.
She's taking notes, though.
I am. I'm listening.
All right, since you've been the quietest, what have you heard so far? What has stuck out in your head about what we've talked about or what I've talked about?
Oh, I'm definitely falling into that category where I'm being too busy and not productive enough. And I know I need to start incorporating requesting the referral from everyone that I talk to.
Why is that important to you?
That's how we're going to build our business together.
But talk to me specifically just about you. Why does that mean something to you? Why does getting the referral?
I know I'm doing a good job and I'm taking care of them, but if I don't ask for it, they're not going to reciprocate with it.
It's an amazing feeling when somebody thanks you in your love language. Ryan, I know what you've gone through in the last 2 years, and probably, well, you tell me, has your business become more fulfilling for you over the last 1.5 to 2 years than it ever has been?
Oh, yes. Night and day. Night and day.
Why? Why has it become more fulfilling?
Well, you know, the financial side is just one aspect to it. I'm having fun again. And so, you know, I used to dread Sunday evenings because I began to hate the mortgage industry, and that has changed dramatically. I don't call internet leads anymore. I enjoy what I do again. And so, you know, my career has radically changed because of it.
You're being validated. You're being recognized for the hard work that you know that you put into every deal.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time, you have a understanding of how your clients think, and you can kind of create the results that you want from them. You are the king of gift cards and edible arrangements and flowers from your clients. You probably haven't gotten one of those, or not as many, in the last 1.5 to 2 years.
I rarely get those now. That's a funny thing.
So back to the point, Susan, it really comes down to what I believe. It really comes down to, there's a lot of satisfaction when somebody says you did a great job, and they don't have to be prompted to say it. You know, when somebody calls you up and says, my friend said you guys did an amazing job, and I was hoping you could help me and kind of point me in the right direction. That's a sense of value that most other lenders don't ever get. And what I want you guys to realize is that becomes the addiction. That becomes the jazz. That becomes the passion behind doing such a great job and being committed to delivering the service. The why behind the service and the process and the commitments is because your clients are repaying you with what it is that you truly are after. And I want you guys both, all four of you, but in this case, Sue and Brendan, to both understand that the key to your success and the key to the vitality of what you do every day and the excitement level in it is because literally 1 out of every 3 people you talk to knows somebody that could use your advice. 1 out of 3. The moment you're talking to them, 1 out of 3 people on average know somebody who could use some solid mortgage advice. And it's not like you're not asking for a loan application. What you're asking for is a referral. Please introduce us to someone that you know, or someone you not even know, someone you care about. We would love to help them make the right decision. Are both of you guys on my Band of Partners website on Facebook by chance?
No.
No, I'm not.
Who's that? Ryan?
I am. Susan is not, as well as Dave Selfie is not.
Can both of you guys go on to Facebook and friend me so that I can invite you to my Facebook post that I do every day? It's really a daily post about the mindset that that I coach every day.
Yes.
Sure.
So find me on Facebook. Request a friend. Request me as a friend, and then I'll link you to it. And then you guys can take time as your leisure and go through it. And maybe Ryan, you could point out some things. And I know Dave's a part of the group as well, so you guys can take a look at stuff there. But it's just it'd be fun. It'd be fun to have you guys take a look at that stuff and tell me what you think.
Sounds great.
Okay. You guys have any questions for me today?